Electrocast.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now, this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you.
I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or Whatever Movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris and I'm here with my older brother
Wesley.
Today we're talking a movie from 2023 nominated for Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role and Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role, respectively Annette Bening and Jodie Foster in NYAD. We just have to talk about it. Annette Bening gets pretty raw. I think that she's displaying a different kind of courage in this role.
She doesn't get raw and scary until it's a different kind of raw and scary until she gets in the water like halfway through the movie.
No, she's like Nick Nolte raw and scary to begin with.
You said it, not me.
And then she's like Man-O-War stung my face raw and scary.
So the very top, I wrote down, Diana Nyad is a swimming crazy. Because there are lots of crazies in the world. She is a swimming crazy, and that's long before she started swimming crazy.
That's also like Taj Mahal at the end of the Yellow Brick Road, like endorphins crazy.
When she starts hallucinating, just roll with it.
That's what Bon Bon did.
Interestingly enough, the CG Taj Mahal underwater was more realistic than those CG sharks. She had nothing to fear from CG sharks. CG sharks do.
And really, you're gonna tennis ball the shark away?
Yeah, just prod him in the nose.
Is that like an animal rights thing?
What you need to do is have them come at you, stay calm, don't thrash, because if you thrash, then you look like prey. But when they come at you, just put your hand out. They're going to angle for you and probably bump up against you to see if you're suitable prey before they go in for the kill. So you firmly put a hand on their snout and direct them down and away from you, like forcibly, and they may not come back.
You bop them on the nose like a bear?
No, turn them forcibly away, and then you get out of the water as soon as possible. All I know is that in Diana Nyad's state, during any one of the 5 attempts she made to cross from Cuba to Key West, Florida, she could have been swarmed by ladybugs and she would have been a goner. She was on the verge of death constantly.
Yeah, she's fighting exhaustion, hypothermia, but she was out there. Literally
and figuratively.
She was a glutton for punishment and pain. Is it so petty and shallow and like vain of me to like come right out of the gates about their appearance? Because I honestly don't know how to speak about their appearance in this film.
So Diana Nyad, at the time of her, bridging her attempts, were from give or take 59, 60 to 63. Annette Bening being 63 during most of principal photography. That's right in keeping. And Annette Bening is a lovely lady who has been in movies for decades and is naturally aging. Why wasn't Frances McDormand in this movie? I don't know. Like, we love
She
these
could have been
people.
pooping in the water the whole time.
Right? They promised us poop and we didn't get it.
We didn't. Nope. There was only mention of poop and mention of peeing off the side of boats. And I appreciate that they are aging gracefully. And it's actually kind of sad that we don't see more representation of age in movies, so much so that it's distracting. It's distracting to see these two actors so unvarnished and out there. I mean, obviously both highly respected actors giving 100% to performances, but I felt like they were making a point about accurate appearance.
Iris, everyone is beautiful.
Just stop
me. And if you don't think so, then maybe you're not so beautiful on the inside.
Wow.
That said, you remember Castaway when Tom Hanks, after 4 years on the island?
Yeah.
Annette Bening looked like a castaway before she even got in the ocean.
She had the bleach blonde thing going, and then very soon into her training, she's got the raccoon eyes. It's the telltale sign that tips Bon Bon off. And then she gets more and more weathered and sun-kissed as she goes. I mean, they show the picture of her bathing suit tan.
At the end, the NYAD butt?
Yeah.
That was Diana NYAD, though, right? Not Annette Bening?
Yeah, I think that was all archival. And so we don't really get a good glimpse at the real Diana NYAD. They use a lot of her bites and sound ups to kind of continue to connect the fictional portrayal with the real person, but I thought it was pretty effective.
I wondered about mixing the archival footage. I'm not sure that the authenticity was necessary. Her achievement happened during the YouTube age, so it's not like we don't have a lot of that footage. Kelly said it's weird that Diana NYAD, when she speaks in the archival footage, sounds just like Jodie Foster.
Huh.
And not Annette Bening. But I'm not sure it was necessary. I do think this is coming from a place of authenticity in that directors Jimmy Chin and Chai Vasarhelyi, they are known for Free Solo, Academy Award-winning documentary from a few years ago, and a great film. I'm sure that they looked at this as a documentary of sorts with more fictionalized aspects. This being their first, what they called a fictional drama, which of course it wasn't. This is based on the life of a real person. But still, there were elements that they were unaccustomed to. So I think they leaned heavily on the footage that they did. I'm not sure that it was necessary or all that effective.
Well, what I made up about it was that they wanted to make a documentary, but then saw how kind of not cinematic a story about a swimmer is. And so they weren't going to supplement it with recreate. They were going to do a fictional retelling, in some ways reimagining, and they used the archival to really boost that authenticity. I mean, it's a little distracting because I'm comparing the real Diana NYAD with Annette Bening and her performance, but it lent so much credibility. And I think most effectively, it's easy to think about this person as being something other than human, like you and me, like to think about her as a robot or other.
A mer person?
Serve to humanize Diana NYAD and really root her root her existence.
I'm not sure she fits in with everybody. She's nuts. Like the 4 failures, including when she was 28? Those weren't flukes. Those weren't 4 flukes where something cheated her out of a record attempt. She got way far all the times, nearly died every one of the times, died apparently one of the times, and was pulled out of the water because it was that or nothing. Like, she is fantastically lucky that she didn't die. Like, I don't know that Alex Honnold of Free Solo fame is a normal dude. He's specifically geared toward that achievement. And Diana NYAD, the character, as portrayed by Annette Bening, is kind of insufferable.
She is. I just rewatched your favorite movie, The Social Network, and I was thinking the whole time on behalf of Jodie Foster's Bon Bon and being like, dating you is like dating a Stairmaster.
Right? Like trying to swim against a current or upstream with them slapping in your face and box jellyfishes. It's all symbolic, but I kind of hated her. And like you want her to succeed and stuff, but then they fully admitted it that she can be difficult. Do you have any idea of how exhausting you are as a friend? It's not that I don't know I'm this way when she's pushing Reese Ifans
right.
to come back to the boat. And I was worried at the beginning. We had an awful lot of archival footage. We had her kind of yelling at everybody. And I thought, Annette Bening is really mistaking intensity for determination. Once you achieve your lifetime goal or whatever, can you hang out and be normal? Like, Kobe Bryant was kind of a punk, and he was like a relentless perfectionist and wholly dedicated to his craft. Was that dude fun to be around when he retired from basketball? Diana NYAD was on set, and she and Annette Bening and Jodie Foster and Bonnie are all friends. It just, the way this was portrayed, it was kind of unflinching and not meant to be glamorous or likable in that way.
Yeah, and I don't think Diana NYAD is particularly interested in being glamorous or likable, but she is interested in her legacy. This is a classic narcissist personality type that is also the type of person who achieves great things, who gets things done. And what influence does her achievement have on humankind? Like, you could say Steve Jobs not known for being a particularly likable guy. James Cameron.
Nope.
Not winning the Mr. Personality Oscars, but push their crafts to achieve incredible things. And I would say make an impact on people's lives. You know, Diana NYAD was driven by the same drive that's probably rooted in narcissism. And is her contribution to inspire?
I guess so. But the question is, after she achieves her incredible feat, if she is brusque and maybe not as outwardly likable as one would hope, does she get better as a motivational speaker? She probably sells more tickets, but she kind of faltered during her TED Talk or whatever. And I wonder, after the fact, is it better? Is it more cohesive? Is it more entertaining? I just saw a thing advertised for Richard Dreyfuss, who was speaking on behalf of a charity, An Evening with Richard Dreyfuss, who is kind of surly and grumbly and stuff. And I wondered, if he's not acting or, being chased by sharks, how entertaining is Richard Dreyfuss telling stories? I'm not sure. But it seems clear that Diana NYAD belongs and belonged in the water where she does her greatest achievements.
Well, if there's one thing that we learned from Cool Runnings, and that is you don't have to actually win to be a motivational speaker.
Oh, man. Diana NYAD, I called her Nyad Volney, in that she wasn't walking towards certain death, she's swimming towards certain death. It seemed like everything was against her. Why go in the water again? Because it's not that she didn't have a life or didn't have anything else. It was more important than that life. You have to make peace with the possibility of my death. She knew it. And that's a level of dedication that I don't possess, which is why I am inspirational to no one.
Well, what's the purpose of living an unfulfilled life or an unlived life or whatever?
Yeah, Iris, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your one wild and precious life?
Yeah, I guess that's the question that NYAD asks of us, the audience. First of all, Navalny, too soon. And second, were they just artificially ratcheting up the stakes? Or is it really that your body can only take so much man-o-war poisoning in its lifetime? Like, you don't get rid of it, you just you reach your threshold and then you keel?
No, it really can cause shock and death. Box jellyfish stings. It's like a neurotoxin or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But Diana NYAD was legitimately tore up, got stung multiple times, but 48 hours, 52 hours, I think she ultimately spent for that last attempt. In salt water, not really good for you. So the puffy face, the cheeks, the lips, all that stuff, all that was very real.
Ugh.
And we talked about the Iron Claw. How could Zac Efron possibly do all the stuff with the weird facial prosthetics like wrestling and sweating and stuff? Annette Bening did those things. She had puffy cheeks, latex cheeks, and looked all puffed up and busted. And she put gauze under her lower lip to make that poof out, Michael T. Williams, Bubba Gump style, and had a prosthetic upper lip. So she fully embraced the busted, not just the unglamorous no makeup look, but like the fully I'm gonna die kind of face.
Right. But nothing could conceal the wild eyes, like the crazy eye poking out of the water.
Yeah, man, she super intense. And to make it worse, she was slurring and growling and stuff.
All right, we get it. Annette Bening went all the way and more than deserving of her Oscar nod.
I counted English, French, and Spanish, her being in the water. Diana NYAD and Bonnie were they said, look at her traps, look at her quads or whatever the hell the muscle group is, and said that her friends in watching the footage couldn't tell if it was Diana NYAD or Annette Bening in the water, who trained for a year. Jodie Foster less so, but she worked out, she got in shape, she had little abs or whatever, and she was, the former athlete. I'm not sure if they were okay, we're doing the thing and it's going to be unvarnished, and so just show up and no need to hit the makeup trailer or whatever. But were they made up for tone, consistency and progressive sunburn and weathering, or were they just nah, what we're getting today is what we're getting? They were made up, just not concealer. Right. That kind of makeup, but there was makeup, right?
There was definitely makeup. Yeah, I mean, the suntan, the raccoon eyes, the bleached hair. I mean, some of it might have been a natural result of the training and stuff like that, but there's definitely some movie magic going on there for sure.
But I do think that Bonnie being really the only one who was worried about her on a constant level, who wasn't sick of her shit, on the boat, you can really see the anguish in her face and her concern. She was the tenderness in this movie, and I have respect for this performance. The frustration, the outright anger, the fear in her eyes when Diana literally dies. And so I think they're nominated for completely different reasons, but both justified, which took me a little while to understand.
But also both unlikable. Like you said that she was insufferable as a character. And I think that Jodie Foster's long-suffering Bonnie was equally as frustrating. I didn't feel like it was a triumphant return or like a emotional reunion when she shows up in Cuba. I was like, no.
You mean when Bonnie comes back on the scene?
Yes, I was when Bonnie was like,
no.
When NYAD comes and she's like, they have the little moment about her abusive swim coach when she was a kid and that whole backstory. And then she's like, I'll see ya. And then Bonnie's like, I'm rooting for you. I'm always rooting for you. And she could just like feel and taste like how bad that sounded in her mouth. But even so, and she, I felt like there was a finality there, and I was also proud of her. Like I was proud of Rosie Perez and being like, yeah, Woody Harrelson's no good for you, honey.
Look, when Bonnie walked away, I was like, okay, so we're going to lose her for 10 or 15 minutes. There's no way that Bonnie is not going to show back up. She's not going to let her go into the water. She's not going to let her make another attempt without her. And it's kind of offensive to propose that idea, that I should buy it, that Bonnie's just going to step back.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
I mean, was her will just that magnetic, attractive, that all these people sacrifice 4 years of their lives in pursuit of this goal?
No, Bonnie was. Because that was her girl. That was her friend for decades.
And I get it.
There was a level of guilt. Nobody wanted to do it. Rhys Ifans couldn't get back in the saddle because he wanted to live his life until he had no more life to live, and was like, yeah, I showed up because I was going to die. So might as well try to be a piece of history if history is going to happen. Either way, if you make it or if you die. Bonnie mortgaged her house, but she hated the idea that she was bound to her out of guilt or friendship or whatever, and just went along because NYAD was so steadfast in her determination. She was never not going to do it and wasn't going to stop, like a Terminator will not stop ever until you are dead.
And that is the theme, the secondary inspiration of the movie, right? First, it's Diana NYAD's achievement. But secondly, and perhaps more emotionally, it's this idea that you stick with your people and you grow old with your people and you support your people. And sometimes your people are not the traditional people.
Yeah, these partnerships are what they had. And you got to back the play of the important people in your life, kind of right or wrong. That's the whole nature of forging relationships that don't have to be permanent, that you're not bound by family or locked in a freezer or something together. You choose to put forth your effort and your time to freaking crazy people.
So Diana NYAD's not going to be your person. But if Kelly Ray goes off the deep end, you're going to support that?
The deep end. It depends on what that deep end is. You know, if it's in line with her values and all that stuff, then yeah, I will try to support her in whatever she does. I'm hoping that she's not like, look, we knew that Alex Honnold was probably going to make it through Free Solo.
What?
Otherwise, it You didn't think so?
I mean, we were talking about that. We just got back from Yosemite, and I'm like, I really can't think of anything with greater stakes. I mean, every single handhold, every foothold was life or death.
But we knew he was going to make it. This wasn't that kind of movie. It wasn't a snuff film or something. But I was pretty sure that Diana NYAD was going to make it from Cuba to, well, what are we doing here? What are we telling the story? That said, Free Solo, I had that pain in my testes, gut-wrenching feeling of anguish the whole time. It was more suspenseful and scary and nerve-wracking than any horror movie ever. And I was like, okay, Jimmy Chin, Chai Vassarelli, what do you got for me? And I did not feel it at first with the archival and all the and the flashbacks and stuff. And then she got in the water and I started to feel it in my gut and in my nuts. And it hurts and it's painful, man. And she was out there and she was delirious and dying and getting stung and on fire and stuff. And I was like, oh God, this is horrific. And I think because the stakes were such that she was going to do this or die. One handhold or foothold goes awry and Alex Honnold is dead. Same thing with her. There was a chance that she was going to die or that she was going to collapse on the shores of Key West and have a heart attack or something. Like, I didn't know if this lady was alive or not, but it really came down to life or death, and she was gonna do it. And if Bonnie didn't show back up, and I'm not even sure if the real life Bonnie tried to sit it out for a minute, if Diana had died in the water, Bonnie would have felt guilty for the rest of her life. And so I think she had to go along. And thankfully, the ride had a happy ending, and everybody is lucky because of that, most particularly Diana NYAD, who, man, she's just the luckiest person. I get it. It was skill and everything, and it was a whole team, and it certainly was a team protecting her from everything from sharks to jellyfish to starvation or whatever, but she was going to do it or she was going to die trying. And I was looking at it from a technical perspective. I was like, oh, those sharks didn't look great. And seriously, tennis balls. And of course, the sonar field or whatever, the shark repellent field is going to go down. And of course, Bonnie's going to come back. And she's stumbling, and it took like 5 minutes for her to get from the shallow surf to the beach. And she emerged from the water. And all of a sudden, I was like, stupid geriatric lesbian swimmer. Like, I was all mad and like emotional. It was annoying.
Stupid octopus.
Right? And Kelly Ray's all glazed over too. And like, it was far more emotionally impactful than most of the Best Picture nominees. Look, maybe it's Annette Bening. I'm sure that there's some skill level in our directors in crafting this tension or whatever, but I did feel it, and that can't be denied. And it sent the Sneak off the deep end. We should call her and discuss this with her. The deep end. Hi, The Sneak. You're live on the air with Or Whatever Movies.
Oh, my goodness.
So tell us, what makes for you NYAD the best picture of the year?
It was inspirational.
That's it?
A lot of the Oscar movies this year, as beautifully crafted as they are depressing. Like, with all of the things that we have to deal with in life, things are so heavy and depressing. I want something that feels uplifting and encourages me about the future, and that's what NYAD did.
She died.
What? Not for very long. That just shows you like what real commitment can be when things got really tough, and when everybody else would have been like, these are all of the signs not to do it. She's like, yeah, screw that. This is my dream. I'm not giving up. And I think that was beautiful, and it was inspiring.
Did she or did she not at one point literally have barnacles on her face?
No, it was sea salt and puffy lips. I don't think that any other filmmakers could have done it as beautifully as this husband and wife team, who actually normally do documentaries of extreme sports. And I think that they really captured the heart of what motivated her and drove her, because they're used to working with people whose lives are guided by that passion.
Okay, so the sneak, what do you think about the controversy brewing around Diana NYAD's performance? Because the Guinness Book of World Records actually revoked her record as being insubstantially recorded or observed. There wasn't an impartial observer on her fifth try, and there are some discrepancies. Tracking her, she appears to have nearly doubled her speed at one point, which they attributed to currents. And she wasn't completely unassisted. They claim that she was physically touched by Bonnie and had some help putting on her suit, taking it on and off and things. How do you respond to these baseless accusations?
Look, I don't know why you would want to try and I mean, look at what she did. Why on earth would anybody want to question or put doubt on what she accomplished?
Yeah. What do the discreditors achieve? Well, I wanted to get another woman's opinion on female representation in this movie. How do we talk about the appearance of Annette Bening and Jodie Foster?
What do you mean, how do we talk about
like
it?
In an appropriate and respectful way, because they're presented in tradition see, I can't even talk about it.
They're not airbrushed.
They probably don't have a lot of the post-corrective beauty touch-ups.
Honestly, I think the way that we talk about it is not even talking about it. I don't even know, like it shouldn't even be a topic.
Yeah, it's not a thing, Iris.
I don't think it needs to be justified, because if we feel like we have to justify it, then we're still living in a world where the standards are Barbie, for example.
Some people describe these performances as brave and raw, and I actually wonder if that's like code for Annette Bening and Jodie Foster embracing their 57-year-old, 60-year-old characters and presenting them in a way that's realistic.
I think what's sad is two women playing a role who are older and do have wrinkles because of their age. I think that people do see that as raw and brave, because as actresses, that could hurt the way people look at them and casting choices in the future. And I think that that's depressing, and that's not what life is. You know, honestly, I think especially with streaming and independently shot footage on social media, people are starting to look more raw, and I feel like at some point cinema is going to start to reflect that even more, because they're trying to engage people where they are. So I think you're going to see more raw or brave looking people in films, because that's what they look like on TikTok. It's what they look like on Instagram. It's what they look like on whatever the other platforms are that I'm too old to know.
It's going to be like all raw and brave on one end and like deep fake on the other.
Probably.
See, Wes, this is what happens when we have guests of substance on Or Whatever Movies. We have substantial conversations.
Thanks for playing. Bye, the sneak.
Bye.
I don't know, dude. I think it might have been a better documentary.
Yeah, but you weren't like all emotional at the end?
It was too long. She was too insufferable. It was too repetitive. It was like, oh no, shark. Oh, shark's gone. All right, keep on going. It was like, oh no, she's not breathing. Oh, she's breathing again.
Remember we talked about how they condensed some aspects of the Iron Claw? Like, did we need to see all 4 attempts? Because by the 4th one, I was like, of course she's going to fail.
Right, exactly. And that's where the story got repetitive, and that's where I started being resentful that it was so long.
Look, I'm not saying that these filmmakers have it all in the bag for fictional storytelling or for dramatic storytelling as opposed to documentary, but maybe these are the only 2 people who could have brought this home in, I guess, an authentic and certainly a dedicated way.
I'm just saying, a little bloated, could have lost some water weight and been a little more streamlined.
The movie, because that's just mean if you're talking about Annette Bening.
No, the movie.
Look, I was resistant, and despite all that, and despite the nut-wrenching and gut-wrenching and all the bloat, I got the feels, and I'm going to give this movie an all right. For sure an all right. Probably because it surprised me. I didn't expect a lot from it, and frankly only watched it because Free Solo was so great, and I wanted to see if they could pull it out. Look, Man on Wire was great. The Walk by Zemeckis, one of my favorite filmmakers, from my childhood, legacy filmmakers, not so much. And so I was concerned about that aspect. A real story about a human, like a physical feat or a sports-based feat. I was concerned about the drama of a swimming movie.
I think I need to do some self-reflection. But I'll say that regardless of how it was told, it was definitely a story worth telling. And I applaud the filmmakers for not only how they've crossed over from documentary, but how they continue to imbue their films with so much authenticity. And I can step up and give NYAD a good. So that's our discussion on NYAD, a movie from 2023 available on Netflix. If you enjoyed this discussion, won't you give us a positive review or let us know 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and courage!
Are you passionate about saving the planet for future generations? Do you want to learn how to do it? If yes, then you need to tune in to the Nature Backed podcast. It's a talk show covering the changing world around us, from renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, circular economy, to ESG and social innovation. Don't miss this opportunity to discover how you can join the movement and make a difference. Subscribe to the Nature Backed podcast today on your favorite platform and get ready to be amazed.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show. Egomaniac. It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electrocast.